I saw this. I said, let me get a drink and sit back and enjoy this. I gotta share this with everybody. Let's go. You know, Jazzy Jeff, one of those cats that I seen coming up from day one. You know what I'm saying? Day one. He's one of those guys, man. You know, back in the 80s, I looked up to, right? Even though he was a few years older than me, but I seen him all the time. You know what I'm saying? I seen him coming up, seen him at the Fresh Festival. Know somebody that knew him, blah, blah, blah. Seen him all over the place. You know what I'm saying? He was the first person I seen do the Transformer scratch live. And I'm like, yo, what the heck is that? You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of respect, especially the things that he said about technology and DJing recently, right? And as you know, he's the ultimate, or he's one of the ultimate examples of the real hip hop DJ transforming into producer. Because basically, if you look at the early hip hop DJ, right, you're basically a producer, right? Because you're taking two records together, two different sounds and styles, and making it into one, like with blends and scratches and looping the beat. You know what I'm saying? Going on the 1 and 2s. So you're basically at a low level beat making or producing or whatever you want to call it. You're putting the things together. You know what I'm saying? To create a vibe. And he's the ultimate one that teaches you this if you watch his career, or just in general, if you have a love for hip hop and the music and the style, you see the connection. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I saw this video, I said, hold up, man. Before I finish watching this, I'm going to share this because I'm pretty sure he's going to drop some jewels in here. And I'm very interested. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Years ago, I said, I don't think I have served the purpose that I was put here for yet. I don't know what it was. And I think this might be it. Hey, I'm DJ Jazzy Jeff, and I'm here with Sweetwater at the studio. I want to say maybe about 3 months ago, I was talking to somebody, and I said, I have a subwoofer in my kitchen. I have a sound bar, I had a television, a sound bar, and a subwoofer in my kitchen. And I used to be very apprehensive to tell people something like that. I have speakers in every room in my house.
Man, and he is on point. I'm telling you. Let me tell you something. I would have speakers. I got surround system in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Surround system all over the place. Subwoofers, 8-inch, 10-inch, 215s. You know what I'm saying? He's right. But sometimes you got a spouse, you can have thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment, and she's going to walk around listening to music on her cell phone, but that's another story.
It was about 6 months ago that I realized that sound is so important to me that I want to hear sound.
Sound is important. Sound is important. Let's go.
The best that it can be whenever I listen to it. And I say that now unapologetic, because there are people that don't understand. Sometimes being a gear junkie, they think it's overkill. I can go to a plugin and get some of the most amazing sounds.
See, that's important right there. He can go to a plugin and get the sound that he's looking for or recreate from whatever. You see what I'm saying? That's important, and we have to embrace that. Yes, some of this stuff sounds dry, but guess what? It's mind-blowing to me that you can get these plugins and just go right out the gate. Now, some of those analog days, unfortunately, may be over with some people, you know what I'm saying? Or I mean, with some companies. But we can still build on that, on the new technology with the plugins, and use all the tools that are here for us.
There were times that you would buy one keyboard for one sound, and you're spending a couple $1,000s for that one keyboard.
Facts.
But to get that one sound that could be that magic on that recording, it's all worth it. And then you started getting into the MPC, which was more of the sequencing drum machine, and that kind of took me down a whole different rabbit hole from just a machine to now I have a machine that controls all of these keyboards and things in the studio.
Yeah, because y'all don't know, the sequencer and some of the early stuff wasn't built in. You had to get the Alesis or whatever else, the sequencer, and hook it up to your drum machine and things like that, and your keyboards and all of that. The sequencer was a whole separate unit. You know what I'm saying?
An engineer that I actually did scratches on a song, and I kind of wanted the scratches to lay behind the beat a little bit for feel. And the engineer told me, you should do those over. And I said, nope, they are laying exactly where I want it. And he was like, I really think you should do them over. And I was like, listen, I purposely put them there. And he pushed play and he pushed record and looked at me and said, oops. And he erased it.
Oh, no. Mouth's getting swollen.
And we got into it after that. That was the day that I decided that I wanted to have my own space.
That's right.
So nothing like that could ever happen. And he was blown away. Like, I never knew. Like, my initial goal.
I remember when I got my first studio, man, and I signed a lease. I hadn't moved in, but it was the day before. I swear, man, I could not sleep that night. Now, remind you, I've had gear since high school in the 80s and all of that, right? But having a sacred space with all my gear in it, man, I literally couldn't sleep that night. Facts.
Was I want to be able to record myself. I don't ever want someone to do that to me again. I don't know what I call this because this is an extension of the studio. This started off being my own personal setup, and it just grew because it was a small setup, with a Mac Mini and a couple of plugins, and I can't work like that. So it just kept growing and growing and growing. It grew to the point that what we're standing in front of is the actual podcast station.
That's important these days. Now you have to have now you only got recording studios. Now you have to have podcast studios, right? And that's a great space to get into if you're in the real estate, but that's another day. Let's go.
And two side cameras and, my backdrop of my vintage pool tech, and it's 4 mics and headphones, to have great conversations. So I have a podcast studio, which is here. I have all of my storage of turntables, my Rain 1 setup, my CDJ setup, another turntable setup, or 2 turntable setups over there, that when people come and whatever gear that they want, I try to have whatever they need. Not everybody uses the same gear. Some people like CDJs, some people like Nexus 800 mixer, S11, a Rain mixer.
Right.
We got it all to try to accommodate for people to come. Walking over here from the podcast, this is where we get to the part.
Saw that Renaissance up there, right? he basically has a museum in here for real. National Archives, you know what I'm saying?
Part of the DJ streaming section, that I have a rack with a lot of mixers and a lot of turntables, just kind of some of the history stuff, but also just for gear when people want to come in, depending on what they need. There are records everywhere. I mean, what would you expect? These are my 45s that I have yet to open. I have 45 boxes under here. I have 45 boxes under here. We walk closer over to the streaming section. Another thing that Dan built, he built me 45 shelves that I have 45s all in here. So if I ever decided to just do a 45 set, whether it be a stream or even in real life, I have all of my records to choose from.
He said stream or real life. Streaming is real life because it's all live, uncut and raw.
And this is pretty much my main setup of me streaming, my turntables, my mixer.
Y'all be sleeping on them SM58 mics, but that's another story. Let's go.
It's a 4-camera setup. I have an overhead for a shot, a direct front shot, a side shot. I have a GoPro shot, which is my action shot. I have a little Mackie mixer that allows me to hear and also send it to the streamer, which is, completely over there. I have my speaker setups, which is really loud, which also came from Sweetwater.
Yeah, it's important, man, when you're streaming to have two separate computers. I know it sounds silly, but it's true.
Which I really want them louder. I really want concert sound. Like, if I want to feel the music as I'm playing it, even if it's on a stream.
Yeah, I used to have PA speakers in my old setup in the studio, and but it was in my house and stuff, and not this crib, but it was another crib, and I used to be banging, man. And then one day I got a new neighbor, and he actually wanted to come and knock on my door and try to tell me what to do. It didn't go well for him.
But what I realized, like, I used to tour 160 dates a year, and about 120 of them were international dates. So I had a really heavy touring schedule. And I got so sick that I knew there's no way that I'm leaving this house for at least 2 years. Like, we started streaming. My wife, who's super incredible, after about 3 weeks of streaming, the Amazon truck pulled up, and it was boxes of lights. It was tripods. Like, it was literally, she was like, listen, if this is what we're going to do, we're going to double down right. Let's make it look right.
Having a partner like that is important. We can talk about that another day.
Right. She would dress the backdrop up for it to look good. And we started playing music. The joy that I had was I had zero constraints. There wasn't, you have to play for a dance floor. There wasn't, you have to play this type of music. And I am a music junkie. So I started going down rabbit holes that I could never do in a club. And people were losing it, because it was kind of like, I don't really get a chance to see Jeff play like this.
And not only that, you ain't got to worry about nobody coming up to the DJ booth. Hey, man, play such and such. Nah, man, ain't playing. That ain't even part of the whole vibe here. You telling me to play something that's not even part of the whole vibe, man. Get out of here.
I have a bunch of records. These are all hip-hop 12 inches, and
I might have to hire somebody to do that for me, man, because trust me, my record collection is all over the place. It's only organized up here. You know what I mean?
Of all sorts, and tons of drum machines. This is actually my SB12 and my 950 that I made a lot of me and Will's first, second, and third album on. The ASR 10, VP 9000. These are a lot of the classic drum machines that I used to love. My Roland MV 8000, Akai drum machines, everywhere.
See that X over there in the corner, baby.
Fusion to get my sounds. It's drum machines and drum sounds and hard drives everywhere, and a bunch of vintage synths, from my OB6 to my Prophet to a 73 Rose, my Sub 37, and my MPC and speakers. And I
every time I see an MPCX on somebody, it's like their screen is bigger than mine for some reason. We got the same thing though, but maybe it's an optical illusion or something.
I'm in Candyland, basically. This is Candyland, and I enjoy it. I actually have a vinyl presser that I can cut my.
I thought that was a 3D printer. He can cut his own records with a vinyl presser. There we go.
On vinyl. Not many people can say that they have that. That I can basically record a record, mix the record, master the record, and press it up on vinyl and give it to you. And I have that. It's sitting over here. It has some dust on it. I don't really know how to use it. I have a engineer friend of mine who cuts all of my vinyls, but I'm just happy to say, because one of the great
make your own dub plate. You could win sound clashes around the world with that, boy. And y'all know the sound clashes. I feel sorry for you, man. Stop it.
This joy is to be able to press your own record. If you care enough about how your stuff sounds,
facts.
I implore
care about how it sounds, folks.
People to go down the rabbit hole and try to figure out how to get the sound that you want. Now, if you don't have any desire, then you can go to an outside party for them to do that. But if you are somebody that has any interest in that, go down that rabbit hole, because, you know, like I said, I make music and I mix music solely for the emotional part.
All right, man. You can always check out the rest of this. I'm gonna leave the link below at Sweetwater and watch the whole thing, man. It's incredible. You ain't need me to just run my mouth over top of it, man. But yo, salute Jazzy Jeff. You know what I'm saying? This man always drops jewels on a whole nother personal level that you can connect with, especially you've been into this music thing for a while. This your man Kirk State. We out of here.
It's